something that was posted in The Athletic. It was a interview that was done with Max Scherzer giving his thoughts on things, and basically his talks with Mets brass. And the headline, and I'll give you the crux of it real quick. The headline was basically saying team taking step back to build for 25 and 26. Now, this is the piece that I just read real quick that I thought was interesting. And it was, I talked to Billy. This is Scherzer, obviously. I talked to Billy.
You didn't talk to Billy? It wasn't you?
I didn't.
Oh,
no.
Shit.
I wish, but not me. And he goes, okay, are we reloading for 24? Billy Eppler says, no, we're not. Basically, our vision now is for 25 and 26. 25 at the earliest, more like 26. We're going to be making trades around that. Follow-up. I was like, so the team is not going to be pursuing free agents this offseason or assemble a team that can compete for a World Series next year. His response, no, we're not going to be signing the upper echelon guys. We're going to be on the smaller deals within free agency. 24 is now looking to be more of a kind of transition year.
I have thoughts. First of all, that's a lot for Max to tell a reporter, if that's true.
Just leak the whole thing.
Just leak the whole fucking conversation, if that's what happened. So I think that's honestly, I think if that's exactly what Billy said to him, I think that's shitty that Max would come out and say that to a reporter the first chance he got.
Yeah, that's
that's my biggest takeaway. I'm hoping, and I don't know this, obviously, because I don't know Billy Eppler. I would hope, Carson, that Billy Eppler is smarter than telling Max Scherzer his exact plan.
We talked about this earlier, and he doesn't really have like the right to like have a say in, because like he's pitched like shit. Like he's not been good. And it's like who are you to say that and like get this information?
Yeah.
Now, I hope that Billy Eppler's smarter than that. I hope, but like we've seen some stuff with the Angels front office. There's been a few things that have leaked through with that when Billy Eppler was there. So I don't know. Again, like there's a lot of things from Billy Eppler that I've seen basically be copy and pasted here from what he did in LA. So
to play devil's advocate, you could bring up Paul Revere's most recent comment.
It's so funny.
And I think there's a possibility in that. Tell Max what he wanted to hear. If you're trying to move Max, you're not going to be like, yeah, we're trying to compete next year. He's going to be like, okay, well then I'll stay.
As I continue to read in this article, and I read this and I'm just like, who the fuck are you? Like that was the second I read it, I was like, who the fuck are you? After Scherzer was informed by Eppler exactly what is the plan moving forward, Scherzer then says to the GM, I got to hear this from Steve. Like I read that and I'm just like, really? Like motherfucker. Like okay, so I'll continue. He goes, I got to hear this from Steve. This is a change in organizational direction. Cohen repeated to Scherzer exactly what Eppler had said to him, nearly verbatim, as it says here, nearly verbatim, the exact same thing. Because I'm sure whatever Cohen was saying to Eppler, Eppler wasn't going to, mince words or cut corners. He was going to say, this is what we're doing. And he repeated it. Max said, I got to hear it from someone else. And then he hears the exact same thing from Steve Cohen. Obviously, it also went on to talk about how they're willing to trade not only guys that were on expiring deals, but players that also had time left on deals prior to the end of the 24 season, which is where all those Pete rumors came and why we're hearing about Quintana as well.
That's like a lot. Like I understand you're Max Scherzer, you're making a lot of money, you're a future Hall of Famer, but that is a lot. Like that is from someone who has not pitched well, who has not been the investment that they expected him to be. Whether he has put up a good earned run average or not, he has not come up big when they I mean, that's a lot. That is like, can you imagine DeGrom doing something like this? Like, I can't. Yeah, Max Scherzer, he has pissed me off to my wit's end at this point. What a fast story to come out. Yeah, that's weird. That is weird. Like, it's very detailed. The fact that he just leaked that out, like, what is it, 2 days after getting
A
traded?
little bit more. If they had said we're going to hold on to all the 24 pieces, that would have been a different story. Scherzer said, but they were saying no, we're going to be moving players that are under contract for 24 before the deadline. We walked through some players I had in mind who would be that. It turned out it was much more extensive than that. The players we ended up talking about who are free agents after 24, they were of the more substantial name. Any player who was a free agent after 24 at the right price could be moved right now at the deadline. This is a completely different vision from what everybody had in the clubhouse. All the players had a vision of we reload for 24. That was no longer the case.
Yeah, after all of that, I see you, Max. Have fun. Like that's like I don't even know what to say with that. Like that's actually insane. That's nuts. I did not expect you expect like the first reporter he talks to and he basically just leaks the entire conversation. This is my thing with Max Scherzer. Like, yeah, okay, he's a fierce competitor, Hall of Famer, whatever. But like the way this guy runs his mouth sometimes, it's concerning. It really is. We've seen where those people that run their mouths like that with the Mets like Stroman, and they're out of here. Again, I am not a big sympathizer for Billy Eppler. I've gone after him countless times. I'm not a big fan of Buck Showalter, but like overall, that's bad. That's like really bad.
And
like
finally,
just leaking that immediately.
And finally, the last portion of this is more so of the reaction from Steve Cohen through this meeting. And as I read this, I think you guys are going to appreciate it, you two, as well as everyone in the chat, knowing that Steve Cohen has his head on proper when I say this. When they were trying to compete, it was outside of my contract. I said, okay, that's the math, Scherzer said. That's basically what Steve said. I never thought in a million years we'd be in this situation, being at the deadline, and we're actually sellers. But the math is the math, and the math says this organization needs to retool. That was Steve who was saying that. Scherzer then says, I get it. I'm not here to say you're wrong. It is what it is. I understand from Steve's perspective. That's a direction he wants to take the team based on where everyone is at within their contracts, arbitration, and free agency. This was the new vision for the Mets that was outside of my contract. At that point, that's when it became binding. I said, I will accept a trade.
So I've been listening to everything. I turned off my camera and stepped away for a moment because my headphones stopped working. But we're locked back in now. But I switched from my headphones to my regular settings so I could hear everything that you guys were saying. I, like you, Carson, think that is like, honestly, I got big time fuck Max Scherzer energy right now. Whether or not it's the truth, whether or not Billy Eppler, out of respect for who Max Scherzer is, and out of respect for the fact that he signed a no trade clause, if Billy Eppler came to him and told him all of that in confidence, and Max ran and told the first person he asked, fuck Max Scherzer. If Billy Eppler told him something that is not 100% the truth, but what he wanted to hear, playing devil's advocate, and Max Scherzer ran and told the first reporter, still fuck Max Scherzer, because you should have a little bit of confidence in this conversation. The other thing, when he talks about trading people that are under contract for 2024, I bring you back to the list that we discussed when we were talking about the Pete Alonso stuff. Justin Verlander signed for 24. Max option for 24. Rayleigh controllable through 24. Canna option for 24. Escobar option for 24. Marte, who I don't think they'd be able to trade, but they sure would want to, signed for 24. We're not talking about the core pieces of this team. Do you think the Mets are trading Francisco Lindor? No. Do you think the Mets are trading Francisco Alvarez? No. Brandon Nimmo? No. Senga? No. Diaz? No. Pete? No. McNeil? Probably not. So we're not talking about the core. Paul Revere saying, I've always said you can't trust anyone with two different color eyes, that evil mofo. You can't. That's why I would never get an Australian Shepherd. You don't know what they're fucking capable of.
No, that's just unprofessional. That really is.
But there are plenty of people who technically fit the description of what Scherzer is describing, right? That are signed through 2024, or at least on the payroll for 2024, then of course the Mets are going to want to trade. They're old and unproductive. And I also think you have some gall, to go back to what we said at the very beginning. You have some gall saying, I thought we were going to retool. The thought in the clubhouse, we were going to retool. You're part of the reason we're not good.
Those that have read it, everyone is obviously screaming now about, why would anybody sign here? Once again, it's very simple. These guys don't care about you or your thoughts. They just want money.
That's how Boris Klein operates. You go by Boris's rules. You go by the best offer. We all know that $43 million a year brought Max Scherzer here. We already know that, right?
Of course
I mean, I expected him to be a lot more of a professional than he was. And it's just throughout this entire year has just proven that he has not been. Said it already where, the whole sticky stuff thing and the complaining about the pitch clock and the whole thing that he had with David Robertson. And now this, I mean, that's ridiculous. That you don't do. Like, I don't see somebody like Justin Verlander doing that. Like, I don't see somebody like Jacob deGrom doing that. Like, if something is told to you behind closed doors, that's probably how it's meant to be. Like, that is awful. That's awful. And the fact that that's the first person he talks to in Texas, that's insane. Tweet from Evan Grant about Scherzer saying Scherzer talked with deGrom about the Rangers and said deGrom's words made it easier to put trust in the Rangers' vision. Okay, Max,
Scherzer can suck my dick.
Shut the fuck up. Oh my God.
He could suck my dick.
Stop talking.
But there are a lot of people now that are saying, there's some funny things like Eppler's out here lying like a liar to Max Scherzer. And I really do think some of that is probably the case. I really do. I think he told Scherzer, I think they're honest about their vision of not being able, they're not going to guarantee the compete, but I don't think, also a lot of people have said, hey, some people in the chat too, like Steve Cohen's pivot after Max's agent lied to him was to go and sign Max Scherzer. What do you think he's going to do now that Max Scherzer outed the entire organization's plan?
I would laugh if it was like they were in like the head-to-head bidding war with the Dodgers for Shohei. It just would be hilarious. Like just basically lying to Max Scherzer, to be honest. I mean, I was lied to giving this dude $43 million thinking that he could actually come through for us, and he didn't. So shots fired. Go fuck yourself.